Hi, everybody. Today we got a very special episode. We're going to interview somebody.
Yes, I have invited one of my new players, Sophie, to come on the show, and we're going to ask some normal questions and then maybe some not so normal questions later on. I'm Eugene.
And I'm Eddie.
And I'm Sophie.
And we are
The Middle-Aged Barbarians.
All right, so I do want to start off by thanking Sophie for being here with us today. I know it was quite the journey to come down to the studio, so thank you, Sophie.
You're welcome.
How are we today? Everything well?
You're fine. Absolutely. We're fine. Absolutely fine.
So
Lost my voice a little, but I'm fine.
That's all right. We can start off by asking you a couple quick questions. Mainly, how long have you been playing Dungeons and Dragons?
I've been playing since March, April. I remember
So
it was
That's of this year.
of this year. Yes. So what's that, like 6, 7, 8 months.
Oh, so that's not really long. That's interesting. Well, the first thing that makes us ask is, how come were you interested before? How come you never played before?
I knew about it. I heard about it. I had one friend who played it. And then when I saw it in Stranger Things, and it looked very cool in the movie. And then finally I met Danny and Eugenio, and that's how I got into this world of
Awesome.
D&D.
The slippery slope.
Slippery
Yeah,
slope.
it's sort of like most geek things, I guess.
All right. So before D&D, what would you say were your guilty geeky pleasures?
Or not guilty. They don't have to be guilty. We're proud, out and proud here.
Yeah, proud geek. I would play RPGs. I would play Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. I would play RPGs in general, Final Fantasy. So
More on the video game
yeah,
side.
video games more than.
Ever LARPed?
No, I've never LARPed. I would
you-
like to LARP. I've never done it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Maybe we'll start a LARPing edition, Middle-Aged Barbarians. We get our producers to make us some cool armor.
But-
Yeah,
Yeah, but it would
suggestions-
have to be like outside, in the
Yeah,
woods.
in the 40,
in the
40
forest.
heat.
Yeah, there's no forest here. We'll do it at the beach. That would be interesting.
Well, that's something that brings us to
Normandy type of thing.
Yeah, of course. Or we can do it Dark Sun style, and it's the desert. Or since we talked off camera, since you already mentioned Dune, well, we can do
Yes, and Arrakis.
it in Arrakis.
I'll have to pass. All right, so you've been playing for maybe 6, 7 months.
Right.
And what was your thought process behind creating your first character? And well, actually, who is your character your first
right.
character, and what was the thought process behind that?
Her name's Fruga. Fruga. What is it? Fruga. Okay, it's in Spanish. And what else? She's a forest gnome. I read the book, and I don't know. Gnomes seem cheerful, fun. I like that. And she's a rogue, just because of the dramatic impact. I don't know.
Okay.
Just because of it's fun. So, what else? And that's my first character. Well, my first and until now only character.
So how have you felt, as in the fantasy of having fun with it? How does the question, which is something that we talk a little bit here, which fantasy you feel it fulfills, being the gnome, being this character? Because when you're more and more playing with certain characters, you change a little bit your view.
For example, at the beginning, I would just play and be like, oh, I guess we're going to fight this bad guy. And you don't really know what the rogue does. I mean, yes, in a wide aspect of the word, but not really all the sort of tricky stuff, like, oh, look, I have a burglar's pack. Oh, I can use what's in there. And try and throw it down the stairs so that the bad guys trip over, you know, and at the beginning you're just like, okay, which dice and which one do I throw? And the 20, what does a 20 mean? Why did I get a 1? But then the good thing is that, and she gets lucky. I mean, every time we play it, there's only 3, so in that respect, it's been, what was the question?
Yeah, your evolution with experience of the character.
Well, for example, now that I play, I'm more of a rogue. You know, now I do like to play as a rogue, because at the beginning, like all the players are like very morally correct, and I didn't want to play morally correct.
And as the DM, I can confirm she has not played morally correct.
Well, I try not to, but then everyone comes on, you know, because if I do not act morally, then I'm not in the group, team,
so there's peer pressure even if you want to be a little bit naughty and evil.
Yes, and you want to be naughty, and then they're like, no, because that's a good human, and you're not supposed to do that to them. And I'm just, it's role playing. Who gives a shit? Who cares? It's not as if he's a human. I mean, it's just an imaginary setup.
Interesting. That's interesting because, well, there's something that usually happens that people have a kind of power fantasies with. At least many of our friends have. So it's interesting that you have such a different experience with the dramatic, particularly.
You're right. Yeah. But it's fun. I mean, and it's fun to get together, and you get the beer out, and you get the chips and the, you know, whatever food is there, and it's just fun.
Well, now, it's funny you should mention the party composition and the morality and how they're maybe interfering with your idealized role play style. But there has been a new member added. I think I mentioned this last time, and he's a Goliath bard.
Oh, right, yeah.
So do you think Fruga will be changing a little bit or being more open about her intentions with this chaotic presence of a
bard?
Of a bard in the group?
Well, I mean, last time we played, he acted kind of roguish. So I thought that's cool. Because I was like in a very moral, correct type of group, and then suddenly he started acting like a rogue, and I'm like, okay. So I don't know how.
I'm just surprised that you think the human barbarian who kicks down doors and likes to kill people is more.
Well, yes, the barbarian is not that moral. Yeah, that's true.
So your problem is just with the cleric.
No, I like the cleric.
That's personal beef. I'm just messing around. The cleric is my wife. So.
Yes, exactly. She's awesome. She's the best cleric.
Which brings us another question that usually happens with role playing. Have you felt some personal insight into yourself or into your friends now that you're playing with them in this matter, in this situation of role playing?
Yes, that, for example, when I'm playing, I want to be a little bit naughty while playing, you know, like being a bit tricky and stuff, and then you've got. But I mean, they're role playing. I mean, the cleric needs to be that way, and the ranger needs to be that way. So, and I guess I play like the rogue, and I guess in my normal life outside D&D, I am more of a, ¿cómo se dice? Como tricky, you know, like I like having fun. So, yeah. I think the rogue is fun.
So there's a bit of a personal projection within Fruga for Sophie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if I'm going to go into a bar and try and steal people. Obviously not. But
or sneak attack him.
Or sneak attack and cut someone's throat. No, but I mean, in general, it's been fun. I don't know. I mean, it's the first character I played, so maybe next time I'll choose something not as roguish, obviously.
Now, other than this maybe moral alignment conflict, is there any other aspect of the game that you consider has been challenging for you?
Math. I just throw the dice and I'm like, it's over 20. So, yes.
It's good.
It's good. And then it's like, no, add it up. And I'm like, shit. It's good.
I don't know if Eugene has ever told you, but there's this pal we know, doctor in math, and even he just takes out his calculator and starts adding up stuff.
You see. It's not
Oh,
me.
my wife's an accountant, and she,
Uses the calculator as well?
if she could, she would. Yeah.
Right. And then you've got beer as well. So I mean that.
Oh.
Who's Taco?
Okay.
No, taco is...
Faco. Taco. In second edition, Advanced
this is-
Dungeons and Dragons.
This is beautiful.
All right, let me hop up on here. When we play now, and you have to actually strike a target or reach a certain goal, well, it's mainly more about targets and their armor class. You have to hit a higher number, so the higher you roll, the better it is.
Right.
Back then, armor classes were inverted.
Okay.
Like the lower the number your armor class was, the better your armor was.
Why?
That's an excellent question.
And one we will never answer.
So actually, dragons had like 0 to negative. So you had to change negatives to positive. It was insane. Don't worry about it.
That's the type of math I would never want to do.
Faco itself is 2-hit armor class 0. So you would have to roll high to hit low.
Okay.
Because the charts for each character, because every class had their own chart. If they had to hit at a certain level 0, they would have to roll a certain number. Sorry. So yeah, I say enjoy 5th edition. It's very, very
Is
palatable.
it better 5th edition more than the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th?
Eugene's gonna say the 4th's the best. But
Why? Because the one you played most.
Actually, I never got a chance to play a lot of it because people didn't like it.
Oh, poor you.
Yeah, sad face. Sorry.
we played mostly
Lonely
3rd.
human.
A lot of 3rd.
D&D.
But
DM.
I have been trying to convince, and I get every opportunity I take to say this, convince the producers to let us do a recording of 4th edition, like a recorded play session.
Okay.
You are cordially invited. You as well. You as well. And then hopefully we can record and then give everybody's feedback because they hate it, but they've never tried it. So it's a little bit hypocritical of them to judge.
But why would you hate something you never played?
That is another good question that will probably not be answered today.
Yeah, the
It's like
edition.
if I say I hate D&D and I've never played it. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that happened. Yeah, do you ever feel that? Speaking of that, do you ever had a negative opinion or people saying negative things? But I'm guessing it wasn't as common here in Mexico, right?
Negative things of D&D?
Yeah.
Only that it becomes like kind of an obsession, like people who start playing just can't stop playing. And
That's fair.
yeah, and that's, well, I have a friend who actually said, I don't want to get into that world because once I get in, I won't want to get out. So I need to be productive in my life.
Who was that friend? And let's not invite them.
Okay, I won't say his name.
Yeah. At least it's not Magic the Gathering.
As the producer shrugs his head and agrees. Now, I have a couple questions that I got from outside, from one of our chats, because I asked them to send in questions that they would ask a new, and I was open about your gender, a new female. And there's a question that I think is...
It's good.
A couple questions that I think go well. And one says, how does it feel? And this is a presumption. I'm not saying that it is the way it is, but it's kind of like a stereotype about how it is. How does it feel to play in a predominantly male game?
Well,
Now, I don't know if Eddie would agree with this, because I know his experiences have varied, or if your preconception of what D&D was there any of this idea that this is more of like a geeky guy, or like girls don't really play it because it's not...
Not really, because I started playing and Danny was already there, so at least I didn't have that notion of only geeky men play, because if you go to Comic-Con, there's a lot of girls that are dressed up and playing, and I don't know. And also, well, your wife Danny plays, so I don't feel as if it's just me, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I didn't know.
That's good. And wait, let me see the other one. Do you have any? Well, actually, we were going to ask if you had any questions
Yeah, of course.
for us.
Yes. Like, I understand, I mean, the obsession's here, right? I mean,
A little bit.
And it's, for example, just getting to know like all the bad guys. Are the bad guys different? Like in each edition, does it
By bad guys, are you referring to certain villains or the monsters in general?
monsters in general?
I would say no, but sometimes yes. There's usually like a general idea of what the classical monsters are.
Like if you played first edition and then it says like, oh, the dragon, whatever, and then you're in the fourth edition and that same dragon can show up, you're like, oh, I fighted that when I was playing in the first edition. No.
But then you're talking about more specific, like iconic,
Like for
villain
example, in
type
RPGs,
dragons.
I don't know, you play Final Fantasy and the monsters are kind of the same type of monsters and
It's pretty much the same. I think a lot of the monsters that we have now in 5.24 are basically the same from the original. What would change would be maybe the mechanics behind how they fight or what weapons they use or how their hit points are adjusted. Like if you go back to 4th edition, they're going to have a much higher hit pool, but because the game used a different system for life and stuff like that and attacking, 5th edition kind of reduces all that down. So it's in scale of the mechanics of the edition. And then you disagree?
No, I agree.
Oh.
I agree. But also, I would add that some stuff you will always see that's iconic. Taking your example of Final Fantasy, if you saw a Master Thornberry in the game, you know that guy in about 20 seconds he's gonna auto kill you. So similar to that, you see a gold dragon. Oh, he's got this specific breath weapon, and he's probably good. Because metallic dragons are usually good in D&D, which can change because DMs can change anything. That's the rule zero of D&D. But that would be your expectation. Shadows are really bad because it's at low levels because they do very bad things that are bad for specifically lower level characters. Stuff like that. You can expect that.
Yeah, like remember the time that Shadow hit the barbarian and drained his strength and he freaked out?
yes,
It's very bad.
that was in the dungeon,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And that has been very bad since I think first. I mean, I've only had real experience with 2nd edition forward, but since 2nd, Shadows have always been that way. They've been like really underrated. But that brings us to another thing. I don't know if you have ever thought to you about like metagaming or out the game, inside the game. Have you ever heard that term?
I've never heard those terms.
Metagaming, yeah, basically it's when you use your real life knowledge and like transverse that into the game in a way.
Oh, what you were talking about, like
Yeah, like every time I say, you guys don't hear this, just this character hears it, so
oh, right.
you're
yes.
asleep and they're awake, so you're not there.
You're
kind of a
not
thing.
listening, but you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have a kind of played a little bit like that. There are a few classics in D&D monster-wise, but yeah, you have to kind of play a little bit dumb unless you're like this super good. That's why they have knowledge checks and stuff like that. The actual knowledge you have. Plus, your dungeon master can play you dirty and change everything.
Yes, we know. Kidding. Nothing.
That's okay. Do you have any complaints about your current?
Do you have any complaints about the DM?
The evil DM, which is next to us. Yeah.
Complaints? What complaints?
No, well, you were speaking. You were already speaking.
Letter?
Yeah, just kind of saving, being
The
nice.
spite.
The spite must flow.
Spice.
Won't be used against you on the table, so
Oh, yeah, I gotta be nice. He'll be out of the team.
It's interesting that you say team because
I don't know what I should say. What is it? Like, because we all go like in a group, you know? We never get separated. Is that our choice?
Have you never heard the saying, don't split the party?
Party. Okay, that's the word. Party. The party.
No, but have you heard that saying before? Don't split the party?
I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
Why would that make sense? What comes to mind if you would split the party?
Well, each one has their fortes. And if you split them up, then you're going to miss that forte.
Good.
Good.
No, but in general, it's a little bit more work for a DM, but it can be done. I mean, I'm not suggesting you do that, but you insist doing something separately, technically you can do it. You're pretty free in the world, but
But you're going to die.
or become the bad guy.
I know my DM. I would die.
Or become the bad guy, which happened in one of my campaigns.
You left and became, everyone went against you?
No, one of the guys was really bad against everybody else. He was being really annoying, and eventually he became the main bad guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was a pretty cool experiment.
But that must be cool, being the bad guy.
I'm sure it's interesting. It wasn't me. Don't look at me.
No,
I'm
it
not
wasn't
looking
him.
at you. Well, I am, but I'm talking to both of you, and you're the one who turns around.
Yeah, he kind of quit playing with the main group, and I think you ran it in the background,
Yeah, and I
like in
just
separate sessions, and kept like a separate arc
for him,
for what he was doing, and then what the rest of us were doing.
and eventually it came to a showdown, which was pretty fun. I mean,
Did the bad guy win?
no,
Oh.
oh no.
Was that the time that we actually killed each other?
I mean,
There was like a party kill?
Nando survived, and I think somebody else survived, but most of you died. Yeah.
Now, I do have one kind of final question, if I may. With the experience that you've had so far, do you consider this to be a hobby that you will continue partaking in? Independent, if I'm not telling you got to stay playing with us forever, but is this something you can see yourself playing along the line farther down?
Sure. I mean, I don't know how, I mean, as I say, like when I started, it was just, I wasn't that into it, and then you start playing and then you have fun and then you kind of understand and you get, you start really liking your character and the other people's characters, and fantasy world. And it's nice. It's nice to have that opportunity to disconnect from your real life and go to a fantasy world. So, yeah.
Which brings me to, I'm guessing this would be the last follow-up question. Would you ever consider DMing? I mean, down the line, obviously not.
God. I mean, yes, but I think down the road, I mean, compared to what you guys got here, I mean, I've read like, I don't know, 10 pages.
It doesn't matter. Every edition is new, so yeah, it changes. Doesn't really matter. It's more what you have in your heart, in your mind.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Sophie. It has been really enlightening. So that's the end of the video.
Yeah, I also want to thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And sharing your experiences as a noob in the world of D&D.
For now.
Ah,
A noob.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. When do you start being a noob?
I don't know. Is there an official rule?
I don't know.
You're a noob until you've DM'd. So
Oh, well, okay.
I
I am a
can be
noob.
A one-shot DM. That would be also. There are videos for that, so you can check them out.
Anyway.
Well, that's the end of the video. If you haven't already, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And please feel free to leave your comments, questions, suggestions below.
Yeah. And you can also come follow us on our other social media like Instagram, TikTok, and on our Discord channel over on the ND Hobbies server. Links in the description below.
And as always, remember to
Rage responsibly.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Roll the dice!